Hey, friends, I just wanted to share a couple thoughts here today. Actually, one thing that occurred to me that I'm just kind of learning in this moment, or maybe realizing more fully, that I think connects to some other things maybe that are going on in general too, and just things for us to realize. It's so hard for us to see outside of our um, frame of vision, right? We see what we see, and what we see feels right to us. It feels like the way that it is, right? What I see, it's so real that it feels like it just is. And the problem with that is that not everybody sees the same way that we do, even in our contexts, but also that not every place and every situation is the same as where we're at. The way that I just kind of have been thinking about this recently is I've been talking to some other friends of mine who are also pastors of local churches, some in our area and some beyond into different areas, and it made me realize something that goes on really all over the place, and it's that when we have different issues and different things going right in certain places, we just kind of naturally think that's the way that it is. And I was talking with some others just the other day, and I said something about we need to make sure that we're doing this, and we're focusing on this and closing this gap. And this other pastor said to me, he said, "Well, that's a given. Like, obviously we do that. We understand that that's the case." And he was right. I believed him wholeheartedly, but the problem is that his experience, what was obvious to him, isn't necessarily obvious to everybody else, right? This is the frustration that we have with what we consider common sense sometimes, right? We say, well, that's just common sense. Like, everybody should know that. And then we get frustrated in life when there's a whole bunch of other people that sense isn't as common, right, to them. And so as I talk to different pastors and things in their local churches, we all have different things that are going great and different things that are kind of off. And so sometimes one of the things that'll happen is that other people that serve in a role like I do get frustrated when the other leaders, sometimes we call those elders or councils or whatever, when they seem really distracted with things that don't seem to us like Jesus focused stuff. And so we get frustrated because there's all these different concerns, and sometimes there's emotions and those other kind of things that get involved. And I can be in a conversation like that and think, what in the world are you guys talking about? Like at our church, it's great. Like, we don't have any of those problems. Like, almost everything we vote on is unanimous. We don't, we talk about things, but there's no, we're all wanting to do what Jesus wants us to do, to stay focused. And so here's my point. If I only saw what I see and didn't listen to what they see, I wouldn't believe that was real. I would think to them, what in the world are you talking about? Like, that's not how it works. Because I know how it works, because that's how it works here. But because I trust those friends, when they tell me that something doesn't work everywhere the way that it's supposed to, I believe them, even though I don't see it. But I believe them because I trust them, but also because I choose to believe that there's things that are going on that I can't see. Now, guys, this relates, I think, very much to the conversation that goes on in our world, in our country, in our conversations right now, as it relates to things like racism, politics, and other things like that. And we think it's so hard for us who don't experience something to believe that it's real, particularly when it seems to us so obvious. Like, such common sense. Thank God for those of us it seems like such common sense. Like racism is ridiculous, right? Like, to treat one person differently than the other just based on what they look like or what group they're a part of or whatever. Like it seems ridiculous to some of us. Thank God for that, right? And maybe it seems like whatever, because maybe the community that we live in, it's not a big problem. But the problem for us becomes when we think that just because I don't see it, just because there's a situation that's not maybe the case so much right here, that doesn't mean when you go somewhere else, or even maybe in the same place that we're at through somebody else's eyes. And so I think for me, and I would challenge you, that hopefully we can have a sense of humility to realize that maybe just because we don't see something, or maybe just because something isn't a big problem where we sit, whether it be in our church, our family, our life, our community, whatever, maybe some of these things aren't a problem here. Or maybe they're just not a problem for us because of the place that we sit. But what I'm choosing to do is also to seek to listen to other people. Some of them are my friends who experience things differently than I do. Maybe it's because of different aspects. Maybe it's because I'm a man and they're a woman, so they experience certain things differently. Maybe it's because I am white and I experience things through my eyes in that way. It's not that I'm better or worse than anybody else. That's not the point. The point is that we all see through our own eyes, right? Through our own lens. And what we see is real, but the mistake that we can make is when we think what we see is the whole picture, right? What we see is what everybody else sees. What we see is what people see in different places from us. So, we're not trying to cancel our vision or our seeing here by any means. But I think it's important that we realize that what we see isn't what everybody else sees. And sometimes the only really way to change that is, well, number one, to listen to without our arms crossed, scowling, and them having to prove to us that what they see has some validity. But even more so, maybe to join some people in some different places, right? When people that grow up around where I'm at go on the mission field, they see different things, right? When we go and we spend some time listening and to learning what it's like in the inner city, we see different things that we see out in the country. And so, we say seeing is believing. And I don't know that we have to see to believe, but when we do see, it changes us. But some of us would rather not take the time to see. We like seeing things the way we see them now. They're easier, right? I don't see problems in my church because they're, whatever. I don't see problems with racism because whatever. I don't see problems with, any number of things. But it may be that it's not because the problems aren't there. Maybe they're not here. Or maybe we just don't want to see them because it's easier not to. Okay, guys, thanks for hearing me talk a little bit. I just wanted to share some thoughts, and I'm not saying you have to agree with me or anything else, but I'm just on this journey trying to expand my perception, my perspective to and to be humble, right? That can be a challenge sometimes for us, but I want that. So thanks to some of you guys who are joined in here and kind of sharing some comments and thoughts. I appreciate that. So have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.